Hi there, you're very welcome to our student spotlight. Today we're going to speak to Megan Carson, who is a third year student, and Megan is joining me, as you can see. My name is Judith Caffrey. I work in the admissions office in Maynooth University. So as I say, we're going to chat to Megan and see what is her experience of being a student in Maynooth, and indeed all the way from Belfast, no less. So hey Megan, you are, tell us about yourself, give us a little bit of background, please, to how you ended up in Maynooth. And indeed, that's where you are talking to us from today.
Right. Hi guys, I'm Megan. I'm a third and final year student here at Maynooth, studying mathematical studies and Latin through the arts degree, MEH 101. I came to Maynooth because it gave me options I didn't get anywhere else. The idea of the arts degree really appealed to me because I struggle with this, when you're 17, you don't know what you want to do with your life. There's a whole lot of options out there. And I didn't really want to make it. I didn't want to say, yes, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a surgeon. I want to be a teacher. I wanted some time to think about that. And I think a lot of people go off to university thinking, oh, I like physics. I'll do physics. And then at university it ends up being so different to what you expected. So with that in mind, I thought I'll go on the arts program. I'll try different classes. I'll see what fits me. I'll go with those for a year, and then I'll cut it down to what I really love. And that ended up being mathematical studies and Latin.
So you're studying arts in Maynooth, and what did you understand was an arts degree when you were in your final year in school? Did you understand what it involved? Because not everybody necessarily understands what is an arts degree.
Yeah, I did have to have it explained to me a few times, but basically your first year you started studying up to 4 subjects, between 2 and 4 subjects, with varying worth. And then going into your second year, you can choose to do either a major and minor, a double major, a single major you want to. You can also swap to other degree pathways if you have the right subjects, the right credits. And then you pursue that through to your third year and you graduate. You also have an optional year abroad. You're studying abroad or doing Erasmus. That's entirely optional. And you get to choose from, I think, about 36 subjects. So it gives you so many more choices and combinations to just do what you enjoy rather than things that go together, like Latin and mathematical studies.
Which is obviously what you're studying now in your final year. Yeah, I think the number of subjects is now around 34, but it varies, it can change, but there's still lots of choice. And there's 6 different groups, so students choose, as you said, 2, 3 or 4 subjects in their first year. And then they can narrow down their choices. So I think you're involved in the Criminology Society in the university. So you're not studying criminology, but yet you're involved in that society. So how did that come about?
Yeah. Well, in my first year, through the arts program, you get 4 weeks where you can try different subjects and have a look around and see what fits for you. And in that time, I did actually end up taking a few criminology classes. And I really enjoyed it. I decided to do Latin instead, but I really did enjoy criminology. And 2 of the girls I lived with at the time were also studying criminology. So they were interested in it. I wanted to make friends, so I went with them to all the society meetings and stuff. And then I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. And then now I'm the treasurer for the society. So,
but you decided not to continue with. You decided not to continue with criminology. It's a very popular subject, actually, in college, isn't it? But you're just, a lot of people. You wanted to continue on with your maths and Latin.
Yeah, I did Greek and Roman civilization, Latin and mathematical studies. So that took up pure mathematics, actually. So that took up all of them. I didn't have any spare credits at that point.
Okay. So what's the difference between pure maths and mathematical studies in the arts degree?
So mathematical studies is worth 15 credits in your first year, whereas pure mathematics counts for 30, so it essentially counts as a double subject, say. You can carry that on as just a pure mathematics degree in second and third year if you want, or if you do mathematical studies, you can combine that with something else, like I did Latin. So pure mathematics is a lot more intense. You have a lot more classes. It's very quick, like it's very fast. Everything is, you are in at the deep end. But it was really beneficial for me going to second year because all the stuff I did in pure mathematics in first year came up again in second year, and it meant I'd already gotten to grips with it. I already understood the material. So second year, I was able to get more into the more complex pieces. I already had the basic understanding, so it's easier for me to focus on things that were more complex. So I'm actually really glad I did that. It helped me a lot last year. But yeah, pure maths is just basically more intense.
Did you ever have to avail of the maths support center? No, it's
no, they're brilliant help. You can bring them essentially anything from just general queries or assignment problems, and right now they're also operating study groups too. So you have a group of people that you can ask questions with and everything. They're doing brilliant work, and they're so helpful.
So you're I presume you didn't have any school friends coming down from Belfast, or maybe I'm wrong, but I assume not. So how did you find the transition coming down from school? Well, irrespective of where you live, but even just that movement into college life, how did you find all of that?
Well, I came here knowing no one, absolutely no one. I think maybe one person I know went to Trinity, and that's it. So it was very much a big leap of faith for me. Like, I had to be able to make friends, and I had to do it quickly. But I was very fortunate. Two of the girls I lived with in first year, I got really close with. Actually, still live with them now. We've lived together for 3 years now. I have our own little house and everything. I'm just really lucky that I met some brilliant people so quickly, because it made me feel so much more confident and comfortable. I remember the big panic a few days before I left for uni, going, what if no one likes me? What if I make no friends? And then first night I was there, this one of my housemates came in when I was in the kitchen and said, oh, do you need help putting your stuff away? Like all my new pots and pans my mama bought me. And 2 years later, here we are. She's downstairs right now in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you wouldn't have had any, like Maynooth, how did it even come on your radar in terms of the opportunities in the university?
I was very lucky that one of my teachers, my economics teacher, was very fond of CAO. In the north, it's not really pushed as much as it should be, especially at my old school. But one of my teachers was very pro CAO, and he put me on to the arts course. He said about, he's very fond of Maynooth on his arts course. And he's talking about how, you can study 4 subjects, works in a pyramid and everything. And I thought, that's what I need. I can't decide right now what I want to study, especially obviously I've gone on to study classics, and in the north you can't study classics at the university level. There's no option for it. So I would have never had that opportunity if I hadn't have come down here. So,
did you have to have knowledge of Latin to be able to study Latin?
It starts from completely beginner level. Thankfully, I had studied Latin for 5 years in secondary school, actually, because I loved it so much. So I already had a decent grip with it, but we went completely back to the start. Spent a year doing grammar. Second year, we did a little bit of grammar, a little bit of actual text translation. This year, I'm working through 4 different texts at the minute, 2 of them independently and 2 of them with a class.
Wow. And where did you ever discover that you liked Latin? Just in school?
Yeah. In my secondary school, it was compulsory for 2 years, because it's a grammar school in the north, so you had to do it first year and second year, optional third year, and then I chose to keep it on for my GCSEs. I wasn't able to do it for A levels because there just weren't enough people in the class. So I was quite upset. I actually cried about that. And then I came here and they offered a Latin class. I thought, oh, I'll just go and have a look. And then 2 years later, double major.
Well done. Did you come down to an open day?
Yes, I did. But only after I've put in for CAO and everything, and my choices were set. I came in the last summer open day right before I moved down.
Wow.
So I was committed. Very committed.
So moving from a city like Belfast to a town like Maynooth, what was that like?
I love it here. Obviously, growing up in Belfast there's a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of people. But in Maynooth, you still have, you've got everything you need. There's shops and there's takeaways, there's cafes. It's very, I'm pretty sure it's Ireland's only university town. It's very student centric. I love that. And you're not too far from Dublin. If you want, obviously not right now, but last year, if we wanted to go into Dublin for a night, we just got on the bus and within an hour we'd be there. It's not a massive jaunt out or anything. And there's loads of shopping, like Liffey Valley's not that far, Blanchardstown's not that far. I genuinely love it here.
It was getting work something that you wanted to do, or obviously you're a student ambassador, but are there other opportunities for work, I guess?
Yeah, I wasn't really that worried about getting it. Thankfully, I get student finance from the north, so I wasn't too worried. But I've actually had lots of opportunities. So right now, I'm working as a campus concierge as well as a student ambassador for the admissions office. I've worked as an orientation leader. I've worked as a tutor as well. There's so many employment opportunities, even within the university. You can work at the student union. You can work at the student services front desk. There's the shop. There's creative teams. There's so many different opportunities for employment here, all on different levels too.
So what's a campus concierge and what's an orientation leader? Can you explain that to?
Oh yeah,
just in brief.
So orientation leaders, basically when you come in for your orientation week, day, whatever, when you're first year and you come into campus to get registered, get a tour, get some talks about how things are. Orientation leaders are the people taking you around and giving the tours and getting you registered. So you can do it from second year onwards, and it's only for a week, but it's very intense, but it's such good fun. You meet amazing people. And then campus concierge, that's part of the university's COVID response plan. So we're a group of people on campus right now in the middle of COVID, and I'm just reminding people to wear your masks, use hand sanitizer, social distance, follow government guidelines, basically. It's just our job to keep everyone as safe as possible.
So, I mean, as a third year student, you have a lot of experience with the campus in, I guess, more normal times. What would you say are the facilities that you use a lot or that are useful to you?
The SU and the gym and the library. Got to throw in the library there. Yeah, we have a great gym here. It's free for all students. You know, I know most university gyms you have to pay for, but the Maynooth University gym is completely free. There's a free weights room. There's a proper gym thing. There's multiple sports halls used by clubs, and clubs if say you join kickboxing or boxing or something, every session you go to only costs €2, which is a lot cheaper than a class at any other gym would cost. The SU, brilliant student hub, unfortunately not open at the minute, so I really miss it. But just a brilliant, you can go there for any help that you need with getting things printed or getting leak cards, anything like that. And then the library, and it's the library, I mean, you need it.
A question, and a difficult question, but how do you go about writing your academic essays? You know, what kind of workload do you have in terms of an arts degree? Because I think some people think it's very light on work, but I imagine it's probably not.
It depends entirely on the subject. For mathematical studies, I would say I don't have a lot. At present, I have 6 hours of lectures a week, 1 or 2 tutorials a week, each lasting an hour, and then 1 or 2 assignments due every Friday, and then occasional midterms scattered about. I wouldn't say that's a lot of work to me, but for Latin, I have 4 hours of classes, and for Latin is entirely independent, so I do the work myself at home in my own time, and then we go into class and we discuss it. As a third year, I also have to do more. I'm the only third year taking Latin this year, and I have a lot more to do than the second and third year classes are combined. They have a set amount of material to cover. I have a bit more to cover by myself without the lecturer's help. On top of that, I also have I have an independent textual study module where I have to cover 2 different texts entirely by myself. And they're meant to take up to 60 to 80 hours. So my Latin workload is a lot, but I love it, so it's fine. Whereas I'd say mathematical studies, the workload is nothing in comparison.
So it really does depend on the subject, doesn't it? Because as you say,
yeah.
Latin is small numbers, so that's why you're kind of working so much independently. But are the department there to help you, or you
yeah, any questions, any queries at all, and they're very if you come into class one day and say, like, I tried my best at this, I just couldn't get it, they're very understanding. You know, lecturers understand their subject is difficult. You know, they wouldn't be where they are. They've been exactly where we've been. They were first year, second year, third year. They know exactly what it's like to be doing your bachelor's and struggling. So they're very understanding. They're very kind about it, and they're willing to help with any problem.
Did you take any electives at all in second year, or was that something that you considered?
No, I would have liked to, but unfortunately they clashed with every one of them that I wanted to do clashed with Latin, unfortunately. So
just, I guess, to explain, an elective is an opportunity to take 10 credits in a subject area that is of interest. So you kind of can take that as part of your second year subjects in various degrees, not just in the arts degree, but typically in the arts degree, that's where a lot of students would take them. So just to kind of wrap up, what's your master plan? Do you have once you graduate, all going well, is there anything that you think you might like to do?
Next year, I would like to take a year out and do a placement. I don't know in what. I would either like to work for a classics journal or do something mathematics related in some company somewhere. And then depending on how that goes, I would like to come back and do my master's. If I end up pursuing classics, I'd like to go on to become a lecturer. I just think like I love Latin so much. I would love to explain it to people who are interested. You know, people always tell me, do you want to become a teacher, like a secondary school teacher? Obviously it takes a lot less time and work. But I would only want to teach people who genuinely love the subject as much as I do. So I think I'd have to become a lecturer to do that.
Yeah. As you say, you came from a background of it was required in your school for you to take Latin. So yeah,
I remember a lot of people complaining a lot about it, and I feel like if people complain to me about it, I would not take it well.
And that's the difference between school and college, isn't it? That you really are the mistress of your own destiny. Yeah, you get to choose what you want to study.
Especially on arts, like, you know, you're not going into a subject being told, right, this is what you're doing, get it done. You know, on arts, you're being handed this absolute gift of pick what you want and then cut it down how you want and just pursue the modules and the degree that you want. There's no, you want this, but you have to do this as well. It's entirely up to you. I think that's brilliant.
Just finally, do you have any advice that you'd like to pass on maybe to prospective students or anyone who's considering either arts or just Maynooth?
For arts in particular, take advantage of the 4-week change in mind period. I worked as an orientationist leader this year and last year. I see so many people coming in and saying like, oh no, yeah, I've picked what I'm doing, I'm just gonna stick with that. And that's great. If you're genuinely, you love what you're doing, brilliant. I'm so happy for you. But there might be something you like more. Even if there's not, at least you'll never have to go, you know, you're 10 years down the line and you're going, oh, I really wish I'd studied something else, because you tried it. You had to go, you went to some classes, you thought, I really enjoy this, but I don't enjoy it as much as what I'm currently doing, or I don't like this, or I love this, I'm going to swap over. If I had never taken advantage of the 4-week change in mind period, I would have been doing critical skills, pure mathematics, and computer science my first year. I did not like computer science, 2 classes in, and I was done. But if I had stuck with that, if I hadn't taken advantage of the 4-week change in mind, I would be miserable right now. I would be. But you're given this opportunity, so just take it. It doesn't cost anything, you know, especially right now with COVID and everything. It's even easier to try different subjects because it's all done online. But even when it's in person, you just go to these classes, and it was a very small class. I remember my first Latin class, the lecturer said to me, "Are you meant to be here?" And I had to explain to her, like, I'm on arts, I'm just trying out a few different things. But that's the worst that'll happen is in a very small class, the lecturer might say, You're not meant to be here.
Do I know you?
Yeah, I haven't seen you before. What are you doing? That's it. That's the worst that can happen. And the best that can happen is you find something you absolutely adore and end up pursuing potentially through your bachelor's, to your master's, to your doctorate. You know, what more could you want?
Well, I must say, I'm sold. I'd buy it. I'm an arts graduate too, and I have to say it was a great opportunity to revisit it with you for that little while. I'm a Greek and Roman student as well for 1 year in my first year too. So it's lovely to get that breath. French and English then were my other 2 subjects. So
wow, very good.
But that is the joy of the degree, that there is everything from computer science, which will be for some people, and Latin.
Yeah, I'm sure some people will enjoy it.
and law and all kinds of business and all kinds of options. So that's it. Megan, thanks very much. It's lovely to talk to you today.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me.